Shirley here with Jupitalis, and this is Venus hour, actually moon night. And Venus is 21 degrees Taurus in the third house, applying to conjoin Uranus. And the only reason I'm not opening up a new social media right now is because of this row 22. And Jupiter, ruler of ascendant, is separating from square to Saturn Neptune. But yeah, I guess I raised my frequency too much to stay on a certain platform. And I have to find a better frequency platform, but we'll have to dissolve a massive amount of Peter rings to fund that. So yes, but this is a topic that comes about, and again, this is me filling in the blank where I don't find something on the algorithm. Then I present it as that there is the missing thing. Something that I have become more aware of, and it's very much with the spirit of the times. We are at the spirit of the times where anything parental in general, it's not just paternal, but people begin to develop aversion to being patronized, and this is a collision. Okay, it's a collision intergenerationally that we had also during the French Revolution and the American Revolution and the civil wars, and it's an interesting collision where people strive and aspire to be free. And this is where all the attempts to control people's speech, Venus is, by the way, applying to trine Pluto, people's, yes, the attempts to control people's speech, even people's participation in economy, okay, having their own business without having to be a part of some global intelligence, having a sense of community without having to give up their sovereignty, and even having a material wealth without having to give up or sell their souls. Okay, people of various ages and generation have had enough of having enough of those outdated structures, and so the big missing is when you think about you know anything that is decision making based. People have had enough of, when you think about the old notions of, I know daddy is a hot topic, but that was cute. At the same time, it is definitely missing that it's not that people no longer respect authority in as much as this is the sovereignty age. And it's both the indigenous authorities, if I think about the Negev where I live. So the younger Bedouins of the Negev, they wanted to go to the city because they were sick of the tribal society. The women wanted to study, the young men wanted to get a job, and so on. Then there were all kinds of projects to keep them from having good education and keep them in certain positions that, that they fall between the lines. And then the youth was MK Ultra. But of course, everybody blames that on them being Bedouin and not them being MK Ultra. Now that it is more widespread in the Negev, then we see that. And you see the difference between the children that had the ability to be sovereign and to be a child, um, actually partook in educational project in that area, and came up with certain techniques that somebody had the nerves to apply, and became their favorite English teacher back then. Some to do with gamification, just allowing children to be children, but also having kind of like a social contract with them and being flexible. I could never do this myself, but I was kind of like the mastermind behind it, and they were the executive, and they were amazing. So I know that even those children that we think are, they can do no good and so on, they only need to be treated with both respect and allowed to be children. Um, and when it comes to bigger structures, there is a missing, okay, we're just like the outdated structure. If you think about, let's roll with the daddy, okay, let's roll with the daddy. You think about the relation to the father as you fear the father, you fear the this, you fear the that, or you think about the fact that you should not be afraid to talk with your parents, but also you should not be afraid to talk with your representatives. And you should not be afraid to talk about topics that matter to you, whether political or economic or social. And no culture can survive with fear. Okay, even South Korea had to open itself a little more to participate in economy, because just to be this closed society was draining on the psyche of both innerly, but also their ability to sustain as society. Okay, basically entire society began to be treated like the marginalized, but there everybody were marginalized. That's and so we have a sense of the great void, the great missing. And the great missing is people no longer go with the outdated structures of not questioning the father, not questioning authority, and about everything, particularly medicine, because Neptune is like, it's medicine. And also the channelers, the diviners, the gurus, okay, the people that are more structured on kissing the feet of the guru and not questioning whether he raped children or not, are going to have a harder time with the spirit of the times. The people that grew up on traditions where it doesn't matter how much education the person has, what the lineage, what the blood type is, what they say, does it apply to day-to-day reality or not? And okay, for example, before Pluto ingressed to Aquarius, I thought all banks are going to collapse. When it didn't happen, I said, well, the wealth is going Neptune. And so the first time I was wrong. The second time I was on the money, because the minute Neptune ingressed into Aries, not only the naval crisis, but funding and so on, but also the raising of the tariffs. And that put the world on a different scale. But I had to go back also to Pluto and do a little denuclearification in project. So that had some residues, yes, which is beyond disturbing. Was to listen to a missile falling that's coming from Iran. It falls at the other side of the city, big city, and it sounds like it's 2 meters from you. So I'm not idealizing that denuclearification. Um, but definitely those type of structures where you couldn't question the leader, you had to be afraid of mentioning politics, you have to not talk about the government. People have had so much of enough of that, that the great missing also has to do with that. I'm not saying it's going to be anarchy, but it is that time in history where people strive for more sovereignty and less official attire, okay? And this is where they stop ideating, and it's all in all, it's good. Okay, it's good for everybody involved, because people stop expecting for what they cannot expect, but also they begin to expect for what they need to expect, which is safety and freedom. Um, yes, it cannot be that a person will go, will talk about one topic, political, and then they go on the bus in a democratic country, supposedly, and they go on the bus and they feel like Beyonce. Okay, yes, because of the paparazzi, and those things, they are. Let's just say the sovereignty of people is not a closed club where you pay membership to enter the VIP section, and then you make decisions about the club. No. And so it's a type of culture where there's a great void, a great missing, then people begin to manifest. And this is where Neptune can deliver miracles, is because when we notice that, say, something is missing, and when we notice that something is missing, we sit with that void, and usually in a miraculous way, those things that are missing, what is actually missing, begins to manifest. Yes, it both cannot be that a person is being treated as crazy when they start to remember things that happened to them in Gate Project, like happens to a lot of Americans around my age and younger at this time. But it also cannot be that if a person is going to a mental crisis, that they are exempt from liberties, supposedly in the name of them being cuckoo. And this is why I said the bisextile here is going to play out in unexpected ways. So some people will have this situation where there's like, oh, but they're the cuckoo, but even a cuckoo person needs to have their own life, liberty, but to travel, to enjoy life, to live in a place that they like, to have their own privacy, their own autonomy, their own sovereignty, participate in the economy in a way that supports them, okay? Or alternatively, yes, if a person remembers corruption, they're not cuckoo. So it's going to play out in various ways. Some people are going to be allocated to work on, well, even if a person is total kaput, they do deserve to have a good quality of life. And some people is going to work in a way that that says, well, if a person remembers the corruption that was done to them by society, whether secret or not, it doesn't mean that they're total kaput. But what can be is that the society can be kaput, whatever happens to that person. Okay, and this is, when people begin to think, well, mass death liberates from, let's say, ritual abuse, both indigenous and modern. Yes, this is not. People. Let's talk names, because people always like to hear names. It's not just the Rosicrucians or the this. No, 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 no. It's also the indigenous. It's also those traditions where that they are the inspiration to those things. And it's not just Egypt with the indigenous. So then there is the great missing. Yes, it cannot be that person. It also cannot be that the person, let's say, is political representative and has to be in constant life risk for serving the public. Okay? Why? Because they're not doing their economic hitmanship They're not fully loyal to the cult of betrayal, which is the rational act to do, is to betray the cult of betrayal, because it's not like it yields. So their being rational is basically put to scrutiny, and they're at life risk for, for basically not expecting trust from a betrayal cult. So those things are missing. They're missing from the discourse. It cannot be that people cannot express themselves in a social media platform without having to be participating in a cult of ritual abuse by the very creators of the platform. And you say, Shirley, but this is the entire economy from cradle to grave. And I'm like, voila. This is the spirit of the times, where all of those things are being changed. And what the change is, well, abolishing of slavery, Urban and Gemini, sovereignty going viral. You cannot hide under the guise of this is colonialism when your tribe disrespected sovereignty. And wealth, equity, and wealth redistribution. Even if a person is total cuckoo, they still need to have their own house or their own land and their own rights and their own resources. And if you think this person is irrational player, well, there is the slippery slope of this argument, because the most irrational players are very likely the ones that have been the most under most strenuous conditions, which is basically the highest decision makers, visible and invisible. So granting, and again, this is not a declaration, this is a point of discussion. And that is the great missing, the great void. And in that void, there are countries, there are giant countries, without naming any names, East and West, giant countries, megalithic countries, where masses of people for quite some time have been in that void, where it cannot be that they have to that their daily lives are being bothered by the permeating, Neptune structure, Saturn, that limits sovereignty. Okay, Neptune works in a dual way. There's an attempt to make something. Think about North Korea. Okay, it joined the BRICS, or wants to join the BRICS, and sends troops to Ukraine. Now it has to open the economy. You can't go viral and keep it closed. Okay, the more viral you go, the more there is air, there is space, and this brings fresh air. And where it's not like that, then people, have colleagues in Bulgaria talking about the crops not growing outside because of what they spray there. And if the crops are not growing, then it's not pesticides, it's the crops not growing. And they have to, even though they have land, they have to put something on so the crops will grow. And it's not even people you say, oh, they pay karma, they pay this, nothing. When they had Pluto in the 12th house, they warned everybody, get land, get this, get that, try to do what you can. Times that are coming are very difficult, and so on. People, less and less professions you can do without doing crime. Okay, so like they try to do what they best. So it's not like, oh, they caught the karma, no. They try to awaken everybody And now with our ascendant, the Pisces, that have Pluto in the 12th house, also sign of astrology. And you know why astrology is being under scrutiny? Because those that had plans to destroy the world, some of them were also astrologers. So they decided that they are going to ban astrology on social media and then profit off of what astrologers usually warn from, because they see, oh, that and that, it could be a global pandemic, or that and that. Okay? Yes, but I think particularly Venus is a relationship sign. Oh, I don't have to keep it shootable because it goes on YouTube. And Venus is a relationship sign. Uranus an erratic degree on that relationship sign. We kind of begin to think how that entire social engineering of structures, of megalithic structures, affected our ability to have good, intimate relations, not just sex, but also sex. Not just with women. I know it's Venus sign, but also gay sex, lesbian, homosexual. And people begin to have their epiphanies, have their eurekas. Hey, since 2018, some people had dated so and so, or I didn't date so and so, or hey, I made all the self work. Okay, I love myself, I value myself. Yes, I tend to self pleasure, to this, to that. Then what happens? So what's these rituals? What's this? What is that? That's witchcraft. Who does these things? Not women. They got the boys that do Seder Feder. But some women also. Okay. What's the dumb fuckery? How'd you get rid of that? Well, you have to get rid of the expandable children projects. Not the expandable children, but the expandable children project. What do you mean expandable children? This is how they consolidate weight. How do they rape children? Huh? How does raping children consolidates wealth? Well, they take one person, they say what is the kink of that person. Now, for many of them, they were raped because that's how they raise the elite. What do you mean? Well, they clone them. Okay, IVF is also cloning. No. That's not what happens there. They are raping their kids. They are raping their infants. Then the kids have to rape the other kids. And then a person grows, the bankers or this or wealth families or so. Then another wealth families wants to keep surviving. They want to appease person. So they send some of them cannot orgasm without somebody dead because they almost died with all the rituals and this and that. So they send expandable children. Some of them can still orgasm without anybody dying, so they send normal child. So what is normal about this person raping a child? Well, it's like, well, it's the best, because you film that and then you can extort that. But then they also want to normalize pedophilia. Well, wouldn't that nullify extortion cults? Um, yes, but it would also nullify the desire to live in this world altogether. Is there another way to nullify extortion cult? Well, you can kill them all if you can, and you need to fund for that. Perhaps a third option. Well, you can start to talk about these things and have survivors talking about these things and coming up with alternative for economy that's will and consent based and a win-win based diplomacy and actually, grow people to love themselves and change the social engineering. That would be a good idea. And this is indeed a time where people begin to understand that technology should serve them, and the solutions are there to everything. People can cure from pedophilia, schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder, psychopathy, sociopathy, if they are living in an environment where they're actually supported, being happy, healthy, thriving, loving. Yes, that's basically. And it's those hidden mind control things that need to be kept in check.